There we go. I had my microphone off. Oh my gosh. I'm going to have to edit that part out. So at any rate, I don't think we have anybody watching anyway, so that's okay. But and I had to restart my computer right before the show, and that's the reason why my microphone went off, and that's embarrassing. Okay. So what's going on? At any rate, there's a mayor. Well, they elected a mayor of this small town in Dolton, Illinois. 20,000 people there. And she is as corrupt as I've ever seen. I have worked with city and county governments for a long time. Okay, I'm a vendor. All right, and I've seen the corruption. Never engaged in it, but I've lost contracts to it. And I can say that what's going on in Dolton, Illinois is way beyond anything I've ever seen before. I mean, I could write a book on the crazy stuff I've seen, but I don't think I've ever encountered anything like what Tiffany Henyard is doing. Oh, you boomer. Yeah. OU, by the way, has been in the news today. I guess DeMarco Murray got in a little trouble with the NCAA. So that's, and whatever. Nothing I can do about it. But he's been suspended. Hmm. But back to Tiffany Henyard. Okay. So if you listen to Tiffany Henyard for 5 minutes, you realize there's no chance in hell that she should have ever been elected to anything. Except I will argue that she probably would have been a good event coordinator, community director, because she has those kind of skills. That's the boy. Um, but you would have to keep her from trying to steal everything, not bolt it down. However, she does have that talent. She has immense energy. And she, I guess, talks directly to the people in a certain way that resonates with them. To me, it's a total turnoff. But I could see having her as a community director. Under no circumstances should she have ever been made mayor. So she was elected mayor. She ran against Jason House. He pulled out, and I don't know who ran up against her at that point, but that's primarily why she won. If Jason House, who's a real reasonable dude, I mean, I would certainly vote for Jason House as a trustee if he was in my community. Okay. Um, if he hadn't pulled out, I mean, he'd probably be the mayor right now, and Dolton, Illinois would be in pretty good shape. However, that's not what happened. Okay. So, what's going on here, though, for this live presentation is that after she became mayor, there was an opening as the supervisor for the Thornton Township. All right. Now, um, the supervisor is supposed to be nominated and approved by the board of trustees. It's not an election. All right. So they went down a whole list of people to put in that position, and for whatever reason, they either the people wouldn't go along with it, or they couldn't come to an agreement on who it should be. And she was the ninth person, the ninth name that was brought forward, and it was on the 11th hour. I mean, there was about 30 minutes to go, and by law, they had to either appoint somebody or it was going to go to the general election among the township. Okay. So they're desperate to get somebody appointed. Chris Rodriguez, or is it Chris Gonzalez? I forget. He was one of the trustees and he put forward Tiffany's name. Why? As he'll tell you, it was because she was a female. All right. She was the mayor of Dolton, had fairly new mayor. So I guess in his mind, well, she's a mayor and everybody loves her. And so why not go ahead and put her in? She's a female, she's young, she's energetic. So he puts her name up, and with like 20, 15 minutes to spare, they approved her. And she went on this big celebration about it. Um, Why didn't they just let the town elect somebody? Well, I guess they were trying to avoid the expense of an election. And so, and I know how much those cost because I've helped in that regard. They were going to probably be looking at about, well, see, I remember doing one for a smaller town and it ran around $20,000 to hold the election. Dolton, or I'm sorry, the township might have been a lot more. I don't know. But ultimately, they would have saved a whole bunch of money if they would have just gone in, done the election, rather than put her in as supervisor. And within like 10 minutes of her election, Chris realized he had made a serious mistake. And at that point, things really went downhill quickly for the township. And of course, and one of the things that Chris found out was she was not popular in Dolton, and in fact, had pretty much aligned everyone against her. And that's when he realized, oh no. Because it's one thing to be unpopular, but when you're unpopular among everybody within like, months of being elected, that's never good. That's never good. Being unpopular can be a sign of effectiveness because sometimes you have to become unpopular to get things done. And that's why they're the old saying, hired to be fired. It's true for like city managers and sometimes like coaches and stuff. Well, not so much coaches, but like, superintendents of schools. All right. If you're not being fired within 10 years, you're probably not trying to get much done. Okay. So it's understandable that an effective leader could become unpopular amongst other board members. However, not within a few months. Okay. That usually takes a long time to develop. And she got unpopular really quickly because she's an arrogant ass. And then, of course, they find out later that, well, she's also stealing. So you combine arrogance with theft, corruption, and you got Tiffany Henyard. All right. So what I'd like to show you, I see. Hey, Neil. Hey, Neil, if you'd like to come and join on, let me know. I'll send you the link to co-host. I didn't figure this was really in your ballpark, so I didn't even bother. But if you're interested, let me know. And Gutierrez is here. We also have Lemmy's Lair. I guess that's Lemmy from Hawkwind, maybe. And Graham, of course, he's always here. Okay, so let me show you something that, in my opinion, I'm going to have to move this around a little bit. Okay, hang on. Something that has come up here. Okay. Sorry about this, but I did have my system go down right before the show. So I'm kind of catching up a little bit. Well, yeah, but he was also in Hawkwind too. Motorhead, besides Motorhead. Yeah, I mean, he's most famously known for Motorhead, but he also played for Hawkwind. Two bands that I really like. I'm not my favorites, but I do like both. Let's see here. What do we got? All right. So this is an update for you guys. Those of you who've been paying attention should know. But this concerns the village of Dolton, not the township. So remember, she has two responsibilities, two positions. So the police chief of Dolton is corrupt, like a lot of people in Dolton. And he was pulling overtime when he's not allowed to. And we're talking a lot of overtime. Okay, so Neil says he just wants to spectate tonight. That's cool. So he wants to collect all this overtime, try $200,000 over 3 years in overtime that he's not entitled to. So the board fires him. So Tiffany goes in and hires him as police chief. Now, he was the deputy police chief before. I don't know why they didn't have a police chief, but so she promotes him. And okay, this is going to get weird because he also has to be approved by the board of trustees, and they're not going to approve him. They're the ones that fired him, you know? And furthermore, until they actually approve him, he can't be sworn in. So he's a police chief that has not been sworn in, has not been board approved. Can you imagine? So a court orders him to turn in his firearms, basically saying, hey, you can't carry a gun. You're not a sworn officer. And they tell him, you're not allowed to go to the police headquarters. You are to stay out of there. So what does old Lacey do? He shows up at the police headquarters and they won't let him in. So Lacey goes and gets the mayor to, as basically muscle, and they go over to the police headquarters and there's a standoff. I mean, that is the craziest thing I've ever heard. All right. He's claiming he's a police chief. The police officers are saying, look, you're not a sworn officer. We can't take orders from you. And so the update here is an official. This is from Illinois Leaks. Illinois Leaks is this watchdog kind of thing where they go in and look at documents and stuff and disclose them. They do a lot of FOIA requests and stuff like that. And they went in and they have found that, well, we can read it. Dolton's former police chief is no longer certified as officer. Let me read this. Dolton's former assistant police chief, Lewis Lacey, I think it's actually deputy, is no longer listed as a certified police officer in the ILETSB officer certification database. He's no longer a certified police officer, but he's wanting to be the police chief of his town. Why? Well, he's been indicted by a federal grand jury on 9 counts related to bankruptcy fraud. Okay, so beyond just simply, not, well, okay. I lost my train of thought there for a moment, but given all that you've heard some before, add on to that the fact that he's been indicted on federal charges. This is your police chief. Yeah. Police chief that's been collecting money that he shouldn't, and has also been indicted on bankruptcy fraud. By the way, he has filed 8 bankruptcies in his career. So when he files bankruptcies, well, this is a scam. So what does he do is he basically makes money, files bankruptcy so he doesn't have to pay back any of his creditors, then makes more money and files bankruptcy. So he never has to pay back that which he borrows. That's the scam. The only way to do that, though, is to lie about what you're earning. And that's where he made his mistake. So he's been lying about his earnings, lying about bank accounts that, he didn't tell the investigators that he had bank accounts that actually he did, that kind of stuff. Okay. He returned to work the next day, even though he was prohibited from entering the building, and brought Dolton Mayor Tiffany Henyard after threatening the police department a couple of days prior of insubordination. So basically he told them, and this is a secretly recorded video of him threatening the officers that he would file insubordination charges against them if they didn't listen to him. But he's not a sworn officer. So now the police officers don't know what to do, right? Does this sound crazy? Or am I crazy? It is our understanding that Dolton police officers went to Lacey's home to seize the firearms, including his police firearm. Can you imagine your police chief getting warrants, search warrants, to go after guns in his home because he's no longer allowed to carry them? I think he can carry his own personal firearm, but he certainly can't carry any of the city's firearms. Henyard, the corrupt mayor, insists she has appointed him as deputy police chief as a civilian. And the police department issued a vote of no confidence a few days ago. Okay, let me think here now. She appointed him a deputy police chief as a civilian. How does that even work? I don't know how that works. I don't know if you could even craft a contract that would spell out duties for a deputy police chief that he could conduct as a civilian. I don't know. I mean, yeah, okay, everybody, this is crazy. The village then notified the Illinois Law Enforcement Training Indian, okay, whatever, that Lacey was terminated by board vote in a public meeting as a police officer in Dolton. Around a week later, the database finally indicates that Lewis Lacey was terminated from the village of Dolton on August 14th, and his certification as a law enforcement officer is inactive. He is not a police officer. So, guys, this next board meeting for the village of Dolton, which is next week, is going to be very interesting because Tiffany's going to want him there to silence the crowd when they start to heckle her. But he has no police power. But he thinks he does. And she thinks he does. So he's probably going to show up and try to enforce whatever he wants to enforce, but nobody in the building has to listen to him. And in fact, he's going to get very close to impersonating a police officer if he's not careful. He certainly can't wear a uniform. By the way, he's still driving around in the police car. There's a brand new Durango that they paid way too much money for because Tiffany Henyard doesn't understand finance. She went out and bought a whole bunch of vehicles and paid way too much for them and bought them on time at something like 15% interest. So they had a brand new Tahoe that cost like $150,000 by the time she got done signing all the contracts. So you can imagine why the village is in serious financial trouble. Okay. Here we go. Got to put this one up. yeah. Yeah, he can do that. He's allowed to do that. Okay. Being inactive, he cannot act as a law enforcement officer anywhere, and it is unclear if he is still driving the village's unmarked police vehicle or if he has finally turned it in to the village. Here's an interesting one. In last June, a lawsuit was filed alleging falsification of test scores for sergeant and unlawful promotions to sergeant. And guess who did that? Tiffany Henyard. So she evidently was falsifying test scores to get certain officers promoted. Mm-hmm. I tell you, she spends most of the night reading the rule book. And okay, that's actually a good practice. And the reason why you spend all night reading the rule book, though, is to make sure that you don't break any rules. I think she reads them to find out which rules she can break. I mean, it's that bad. Oh, my God. So what's this latest thing we're going to watch tonight? Well, they're going to probably give you a good introduction on it. But remember, she's the supervisor for Thornton Township, which is like a small county. A county has like 4 or 5 townships in them, right? It's not something I'm used to. I don't know why Illinois did this. It seems like it is really top heavy in financial stress because you're having to pay a lot more administrators. But where I'm from, you have counties and that's it, within the cities within the counties, but you don't have any like mini counties. Okay. At any rate, she is the supervisor and she is obnoxious as hell. And finally, and they'll probably show you the clip. She basically treated one of her trustees something horribly. This is Carmen Carlisle, and by the way, who's brand new. She's she was very unsettled. She's brand new at the game. She's trying to learn. She's like a newbie, right? And finally, she says, "I've had it." And so I guess she's got some incriminating stuff on Tiffany, and she's going to introduce that tonight to WGN. And WGN has been a real bulldog on this thing from the get go, along with the Lansing Journal. So those are two media outlets that are actually acting like media outlets are supposed to act. Okay. Um, Most of the other media outlets haven't touched this thing, but those are the two that have. Okay, let's see here. She bought it with what money? Here's the thing. She just goes out and buys it with the township's, or not in this case, the village of Dolton's money, and then asks for permission later. That's her modus operandi. Buy it and then defend it. She doesn't get board approval for most of the things. And even though she's required to. Wait a minute. Yeah, Toys R Us. By the way, you're pretty old if you remember Toys R Us. With a toy gun, yeah, he's probably going out and buying security officers' uniforms, right? Probably has fake lights on his car. Um, this story is insane. And if you wrote a book about it, and it would be a monster because she spends so much time finding ways to corrupt. It's incredible. Most of your corruption that I've seen occurs around a few minor things. Well, even if they're major, but it's limited in scope, right? Somebody got a very nice contract, even though it was clear that they didn't deserve the contract. So you have kickbacks. I've seen that happen. I've been a victim of it. I've lost contracts over this. True story. I lost a contract with a school district, even though I had technically won the contract. They decided to abandon the the competition, start over again, and I went from first to last in points. Come to find out that two of the board of trust, now they were actually uh, school board representatives, two of them had been given tickets to an NFL game, season tickets. Yeah, I've seen that kind of thing happen. But Tiffany does that kind of stuff daily. That's the difference. Uh, let's see if we got any other. Oh, I think you're talking about Hawkwind. Yeah, I've been listening to them since the '70s. I'm old. Okay. Yeah, Hawkwind is a far more progressive sounding band than um, Motorhead. Okay, let's see what else we got here. How are we doing on time? It's getting pretty close. Okay, let's see here. Oh, and let's see if there's anything else on the wire. Oh, yeah, one more update here. Okay. This is a story I'm going to be covering here over the next week, and that is the Breonna Taylor deal. Turns out that some of the police officers had their more serious federal charges dropped. A lot of people are not too happy about it because they don't understand the law. I'm not a lawyer, but I know the law better than the average dummy, that on the left especially. I mean, the difference is that I'm willing to read and investigate and research rather than just simply read a headline. But that's all they're going to do is read this headline, and they've been going off kilter. Um, but the truth is far less sinister than they make it out to be, and has some other interesting twists and turns that I want to cover. But I will be pushing out these videos over this week. Um, I don't know how much you guys know about Breonna Taylor, but she was the woman that was shot in Louisville on a no knock warrant. And the other thing about it is that there was another no knock warrant that took place in Houston that was almost identical. The same deal, trumped up warrant. In this case, the police officer claimed to have gotten information from an informant that never existed, made it up. They bust in, shot a man and his wife to death and the dog, and nobody even discusses it. How many of you out there know what I'm talking about? In the comment section, tell me. This is in Houston. Do you know what I'm talking about? But you don't. Oh, it's getting about that time. Oh, I can't wait for you guys anymore. So, the reason why you don't know anything about it, both of the victims are white. I have videos on it. Okay, let's move on over here. Let's see what's going on. I hope this is going to come off like I think it's going to. Okay, hang on. I gotta find. Okay, I'm gonna pull out a little bit here. I'll be back in about 2 minutes. Hey guys, give me a few minutes. I'll come back in when I have this thing straightened out. Okay, so I'm struggling to find it. Remember, my computer crashed right before I started here, and the link that I had is dead. So the I'm trying to find the live feed of the Carmen Carlisle whistleblowing deal. If you guys can maybe help me out, see if you could find the actual live feed. It was from WGN, but I am not finding it. If you do, just post the link in the chat box and I'll hit it. I'm going to continue looking myself. Okay, so I have Dolton Politics has a link to the live feed, and I'll show you what it looks like. Let's see here. Whoops. At any rate, there's nothing on it about Tiffany Henyard. I have no idea what's going wrong. I triple checked the time. It's supposed to start at 9 p.m. Central Time, but there's nothing playing. I don't know. Okay, hang on.
All volume from last week.
And now power crews will have their work cut out for them. ComEd reporting about 40,000 customers without power tonight. The only bit of good news.
I have no idea. I don't know what's wrong. That's crazy. I'm at a loss here. And so let's see here. There's another live here. Hang on.
Impact from around with severe storms, how residents are coping with the active swings today.
And those storm warnings are ending, but an excessive heat warning.
I don't get it. 9 p.m. Central Time. I mean, Chicago is Central Time. So 9 p.m. This is WGN, which is Detroit. Oh, could that be Eastern? No, come on. Does anybody here from Michigan? Oh, I don't think Detroit. I think WGN is actually out of Chicago. Hang on. Yeah, it's out of Chicago, which is Central Time, but everybody's acting like it's going on in an hour. This is a live feed.
What can we expect the rest of the week? Beatrice Ivory maps out the timing in your full forecast and just
Forecasting the weather. Okay, guys, I think I screwed up. I don't know. It said 9 p.m. It's supposed to be today. Everybody's got their live feeds up as if they're waiting for it to start. But Chicago is Central Time, so why would they advertise at 9 p.m. Eastern Time? And certainly not Mountain Time. I don't get it. Any ideas? Yeah, Tiff changed the locks at the station. Well, she was trying to. I don't know if she was able to do it. That's why she showed up. She wanted to go. She showed up with a locksmith to change the locks at the police headquarters. But I don't know if she actually was able to pull that off. Let's see what I got here. Yeah. Well, they disparage the justice system when it's convenient for them. Let's see here. Yeah, okay. I said that one already. All right, I'll tell you what we'll do. I mean, let's watch Hannibal, his take on the whole deal. And if you guys decide to depart because this is not what you're looking for, I totally understand. Okay. But let me go ahead. This is pretty good. So I need to find it here. Okay. I'm going to step out for just a second.
Things are getting worse for the super mayor.
WGN Investigates has learned South suburban politician Tiffany Henyard has lost another key ally. Until recently, Henyard enjoyed near unanimous support on the Thornton Township.
Okay.
Things are getting worse.
So I'm sorry, I had screwed that up too, but we're ready to start here. This is Hannibal is Hungry, and this is pretty good. And so let's go ahead and start.
Things are getting worse for the super mayor.
WGN Investigates has learned South suburban politician Tiffany Henyard has lost another key ally. Until recently, Henyard enjoyed near unanimous support on the Thornton Township Board, but now trustee Carmen Carlisle says after trusting Henyard and remaining silent, she will be a whistleblower against him.
Okay, so she's claiming to be a whistleblower. By the way, he says unanimous support. Chris, that one dude who actually elected her or basically put her name up for her to be, sworn in, he was against her too. So I don't know why the person is saying that she had unanimous support, but okay.
Henyard. Carlisle released a statement to WGN that reads in part, for the past 2 years, Henyard has manipulated employees, vendors, and residents using her position to increase her influence, all while projecting a false image of success funded by the hardworking taxpayers of Thornton Township and the village of Dolton. Henyard shows no accountability or conscience for her actions against employees or taxpayers.
Damn.
I don't even know if that's even interesting at this point. I think we kind of all know that, don't we? Let's go back. Has manipulated employees, vendors, and residents. Yeah. Using her position to increase her influence. Of course. Projecting a false image of success. Yeah. Funded by the hardworking taxpayers of Thornton and Village of Dolton. Yeah. Henyard shows no accountability or conscience for her actions against employees or taxpayers. I think we've already known that. I mean, is there anything new there? So I don't know why that's so interesting, but okay.
no accountability or conscience for her actions against employees or taxpayers.
Damn.
Henyard has denied wrongdoing and claims her opponents are out for what she calls clickbait. Tomorrow at 9, tune in for exclusive new reporting on Henyard's spending that she tried to keep secret.
Oh, so it looks like things are finally catching up with Tiffany Henyard, the super mayor. The latest news that the Thornton Township trustee Carmen Carlisle, who used to be one of Henyard's biggest supporters, has turned on her. Now, this is not a big surprise, despite the fact that Carlisle has been a rubber stamp for Henyard for a long time, but recently she's been fighting back and pushing back on Henyard. Let me show you some of the back and forth over the last couple of weeks.
Okay, now this is crazy. And keep in mind, Carmen Carlisle is a very nice, sweet lady. I mean, she goes along to get along. And she also has very reasonable questions and stuff. Watch how Tiffany Henyard responds to her. Oh, before we begin here, let's take a look here. I don't remember Keith Freeman running for and getting elected mayor. Yeah, I'm not sure what you're talking about there. I don't believe he ever did, but maybe I'm out of context here. It's the first Monday of each month. So it may be the following. You can bet that Tiffany Henyard will try to move that date if at all possible. It's going to be crazy because remember, Lori Lightfoot came out with her expose about a week or two ago. This will be the first meeting since. So the population of Dolton is going to be becoming really, really angry. This is going to be a wild one. And all of Dolton's meetings under Henyard have been wild. This is going to be crazy because now the townsfolk know that she has misappropriated funds on a massive scale. Next meeting is 9/3. Okay. There's the live streams are going to be everywhere about this. I'm telling you. And okay, so let's continue on.
You know, I have a lot of things that I requested that I did not get. And I can go down the list of emails that I sent to different department heads, and I have yet to receive anything. I asked for the Nation Builder contract. I asked for information for outreach department. I've asked for information for a media department. I've asked for information for so many things, and I have yet to receive that information.
And shut that down.
I don't feel comfortable supporting the spending. So once the ordinances are put in place and supported, I'll feel more comfortable if there's structure, organization, and a limit set and is forced, not forced, but just enforced that there's responsible spending with the township funds. So.
Now, at this point, you think the proper response would be to say, hey, you've had some troubles. Well, hey, let's see what we can work together to ease up the communication issues. People haven't been responding to you. Let me talk to the department heads and see what's going on there, because we always want them to respond to their emails. We don't want people to be, basically ignored, right? In other words, say things that calms everybody down and lets people think that you're going to do something to help here. But Tiffany, that's just not her style.
So that's why I am not supporting the bills. We're not telling the truth. And the reason I don't support you is because you were not honest about that foundation.
Imagine making $453,000 in a single month as an affiliate marketer.
I imagine it's not going to happen.
Came to my house after that unannounced and tried to get me to say somebody else started that foundation that did it. And so again, and I'm saying this for my record. Okay. I don't support you because again, you act like you don't make decisions. You make every decision.
So Carlisle has had enough of being the rubber stamp vote for Henyard's decisions, and now she is officially calling herself a whistleblower. This is a big deal because Carlisle was one of the people who helped Henyard stay in power for so long and allowed a lot of the stuff that was going on for the past couple of years. But now she's saying she's seen too much and she can't stay quiet any longer. So what is going on here? Why Carlisle is speaking out after all this time? It could be that she finally realized that Henyard has been manipulating her and a lot of people for a long, long time. And let's be honest, Carlisle could be just trying to save herself from the fallout that is bound to happen as more people see through Henyard's facade. Either way, it's become clear that Carlisle has been done playing along. And that's more bad news for Tiffany Henyard. There's a lot of bad news for Tiffany Henyard. Carlisle releasing a pretty damning statement accusing Henyard of using her position to manipulate employees, vendors, and residents, all pretending that she got everything under control. Carlisle claims that Henyard has been funding her image of success with taxpayer money, but in reality, she's just been lying to everyone. So it's no wonder Carlisle couldn't keep quiet anymore.
By the way, the dude on the right is the lawyer for the Thornton Township. You think. However, apparently, he's been representing Tiffany on personal matters. And one of the people at the township meeting said, is this a conflict of interest? It clearly is. I mean, if you are representing her, then you have lawyer-client privileges, which means that the conversations you have with her cannot be shared with the other board of trustees. So how can you represent the board of trustees in such a situation? And you can't. That's an obvious conflict of interest. And they asked him. Tiffany grabs the microphone and tries to answer. They finally got him to try to answer, and he basically just punted. The man on the right there of her is a crook. He's a crooked lawyer, and he clearly cannot represent the township if he's representing her on private matters. Just can't do that.
Especially if she got the evidence to back up these claims. They were pretty close a couple of years ago, which is very similar to the situation with Keith Freeman. If you haven't heard, which I'm sure you had, Keith Freeman was a key figure in Henyard's administration. But things went south quickly.
Federal prosecutors accuse Keith Freeman of making false statements in his bankruptcy petition. Freeman currently serves as village administrator and as municipality manager of Thornton Township. It says he knowingly underreported income he derived from his employment, as well as fees he received from his private consulting business. Freeman has not been arraigned, and the village declined to comment.
And now Keith Freeman is going back and forth with Henyard. He got caught up in some serious controversies of his own with the bankruptcy fraud and all of the nonsense he's been doing. But now he has to save himself. And it makes you wonder, did Henyard know what was going on with Freeman, or just look the other way? Or he was just another one of her pawns in this game of power? I think.
By the way, so Keith Freeman is, in my opinion, the person who teaches Tiffany how to be corrupt. He is every bit as bad as she is. He's a little smarter, though. He's quite a bit smarter than her, and because she's really kind of dull. So he is the one person that the FBI went after originally. And the idea behind what the FBI does is that they have the person that they want to nail. They start to put the pressure on those below them. And Keith Freeman was the first one that they went after. And he apparently looked at this situation and said, I have a choice. I can stand by Tiffany, go to prison, or I can basically talk to the FBI, become an informant, and not go to prison. Well, he's still probably going to go to prison, but it's not going to be nearly as long. So he cut a deal. He's smart enough to know when to get out. And when they came to him, he started to become an informant. And it became obvious to everyone that he was. I mean, this was an open secret. So Tiffany Henyard got really, really mad at him and tried to fire him. In fact, she technically did fire him, but she wants the board to approve it. But here's a problem. In closed session, she apparently mentioned that she wanted to fire him because he was informing on her. Now you have a violation of the Whistleblower Act. And I can imagine that the board of trustees looked at each other like, you're kidding me. You just brought that up? Now you can be sued. So the board of trustees says, now there's no way we can fire this guy. as much as they hate him, I mean, and they do, they can't fire him. Also, he's providing them now information. He's telling the Board of Trustees about all the goings on. All right. So she puts it to a vote to have the Board of Trustees fire him. But the Board of Trustees is not stupid. I mean, I don't know how good they are. They allowed all this crap to start. I mean, so they can't be too great, but they're certainly better than her. But they're not that stupid, and they refused to vote on it. And she made a big deal out of it. You guys don't fire him? You don't want him fired? You know, you want everybody else fired, but you don't want him fired. And they're like, shut up. This was all settled in a closed session. We can't talk about this. But she's just flapping her gums. And she clearly violated the law when she's telling everybody about these closed session discussions. You can't do that. So the Board of Trustees, their hands are tied. They can't really defend themselves without disclosing what took place during a closed session. And she took advantage of that to criticize the hell out of them for not agreeing to fire him. This is what has become of the village of Dolton. Can you imagine? Let's go through some deals here. Okay, he said nothing because... Okay, I'm not sure what you're referring to. Maybe you're talking to somebody else. Okay. And... Okay, well, tell you what there, Neil, if you come across a direct link to the actual interview, but my guess is that it's starting up at another, 20 minutes or 40 minutes. I don't know. Everything said 9 p.m. Central Time. Crazy. We have 137 live viewers, but I think we actually have more. I think Neil said we had like 200, which is like fantastic for me. Okay, let's continue on.
I think they both were in the game. And the problem is there's no honor among thieves. Keith Freeman can't file for bankruptcy properly. He's in trouble with the feds, and he's going to snitch on Henyard.
That's another crazy thing. Now you think, oh, wait a minute. This bankruptcy deal, you're talking about the police chief, right? No. It turns out that Keith Freeman, who is the village administrator, think of a city manager, okay? He's not elected, he's hired. He's been nailed for bankruptcy fraud too. So you have the city manager and the chief of police or deputy chief of police both indicted by the FBI on bankruptcy fraud. Can you imagine? And you may be thinking, well, why haven't they done that to Tiffany? Oh, they're going to. Well, they're just collecting, the people below her. So here's the problem for Tiffany Henyard. It was bad enough when she had Keith Freeman informing. Okay? But now the police chief has also been indicted. And all of a sudden now, Keith Freeman has no leverage. Neither does the police chief. It's one thing to have one person rat on you. It's really bad when there are two. And the reason why is that the FBI can come in and say to each one of them, hey, we don't need you. We have the other person. Furthermore, he's going to rat on you as well. So now let's talk. So before, if it's only one informant, the informant can hold out and say, hey, I'm not going to cut any deals with you because you need me bad. But now the law can come in and say, no, we don't need you as badly now as before because we have somebody else who's willing to also tell on you. And therefore, let's talk about what kind of deal we can make. And this, of course, is all bad for Tiffany Henyard because now both of those informants have a lot of leverage against them. However, having said that, the police chief seems to be holding out. He's apparently refusing to go along with the whole deal of ratting out Tiffany Henyard. And if so, he is the stupidest man alive. What kind of moron would be loyal to her in this situation? I mean, the FBI is telling you that they don't need your information. So what's the point of being loyal? The police chief, by the way, he's a police chief. I keep saying police chief. I think he was deputy police chief. But let's just call him police chief. He is a chief of police. He knows how this game plays. He's done it. He's had his officers doing this kind of stuff. How could he not know that the earlier you get in on the informant game, the better? Holding out is not going to do him any good now, because as he holds out, the FBI is just getting all the information they need from the other person. And at some point, they don't need him anymore at all. I don't know if Louis Lacey understands that he's looking at some serious prison time here. Because, I mean, they got him on the bankruptcy fraud. They'll plea that away. They'll give him that. They'll say, yeah, we're not going to worry about the bankruptcy fraud, because they're going to have him on a lot of other stuff. And we're talking RICO, because apparently he has been conniving and conspiring to basically undermine the rights of the village, and that's going to get him in trouble. This is conspiracy. So, yeah, it's going to be bad. Let's see what else we have here. Oh, okay. Got it. Okay. Oh, he had his yeah. Okay. So apparently, Chief Lacey, who was running around in this brand new, expensive police car, we're talking over $100,000 on it. He had it repoed today. So he's driving around in some Malibu or something. That's gotta hurt. And by the way, it's very symbolic. When you're seen driving around in some four-door passenger sedan, that's very symbolic of how things are going. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, the prisoner's dilemma. Yep. Do I inform or not? I'll give it to you. There's no dilemma here. You inform. You cut any deal you can. If the FBI offers you a deal, you take it at this point, because they've already got the goods on her. And they're not going to be in the mood to cut really sweet deals with you at this point, because they've got two informants. None of these people are very smart. Eventually, someone was going to notice the money was missing. Okay, so here's another thing I was going to come up with. And this is a future video I'm going to do. And that is, how did Tiffany get into this trouble in the first place? And part of that conversation I'm going to have is talking about how the fact that she wants to be Al Capone. She wants to be a African third world country dictator. Her dream would be to become a queen of the Congo or whatever country you're talking about, Namibia, whatever, and then grind the population into the dirt. She fantasizes about having the power to make people fear you. Okay? So that's what she dreams of. The problem that she has, well, there are two problems. Number one, Dolton is too small. So she can't coalesce enough power around her to drive those kind of initiatives without getting herself in trouble. You know, the reason why these people in like Namibia or whatever, and I don't want to pick on Namibia, I'm just making up the name of the country. And we can even go to South America, whatever. Let's say some South American banana republic, okay? The reason why these dictators can get away with everything. It's because there's nobody above them. They control all of the police, all of the enforcement. There's nobody to complain to. And so they can steal, they can mutilate, they can murder, they can do anything they want. The only thing that they have to do is they have to invoke fear in the population. They know that there's nobody you can report to. The only way to stop them is to form a rebellion and basically shoot them. I mean, that's really literally, or make them flee to France in exile. That's the only thing you can do. The trouble that Tiffany has is that there's somebody above her. There is the state and the national, the federal. So she can't do these kind of things. If she tries, the feds will come in. That was one of her big problems. The other problem that she has is that she's not that smart. These leaders of these banana republicans, or whatever you want to call them, they don't have to be smart. They just have to be cruel because there's nobody above them. But for her to actually pull this off, she has to be very smart. Say what you want about Al Capone. He was not a dummy. Most of your mobsters are not stupid. They know how to play this game. And they know who to bribe. They know how to bribe. They know how to maneuver. They know how to swim among the fishes. She doesn't have that kind of intellect. But she watches these television shows like Nino Brown on, what was the name of that movie? New Jack City. Okay? She watches these television shows and she tries to emulate these people, not understanding that the people like Nino Brown and whatever, these criminal kingpins, have a lot of street savvy that she doesn't have. So this is how she's gotten into trouble. You may be wondering, why does she do all the bingo? She does a lot of bingo. There's a lot of senior citizen stuff she has. Okay? She does a lot of these events. And you might think from the outside, thinking, wow, what a wonderful, sweet lady. She's out there raising money for cancer, which was totally bogus. She's giving away TVs and stuff at bingo. And the reason why she's doing it is she's trying to emulate what the mob does. The mob always does these, tries to get in good with the community. That's why, as a mobster, you never shoot a police officer. You just don't do that, because a police officer is still a respected community leader. And if you shoot him, all of a sudden, your organization starts to be looked upon as for what it really is. So the mob does a lot of stuff designed to make themselves look like they're the community, they're helping the community. So she tries to do that. The problem that she has is that the people that she's helping have no political power. So she's angering everyone except for the 20 or 50 people who want a new television set. So this is what we would call a cargo cult science. Okay? A cargo cult science is when you set up all the trappings of a certain, let's say, system, but you're missing the essential ingredient. And Richard Feynman, by the way, famous physicist, is the one that came up with the term. And, it goes, I'm not going to tell the story, but it has to do with World War II and the Pacific. So she has tried to set up what she thinks is a mobster gangland empire. She does all the things that she sees them doing, but the missing ingredient is that she doesn't know really how to do the actual events. She's misfired. She went and she's got all the senior citizens on her side, and that's about all. And also the thing that she misses is that in modern day media, all these little tricks she's doing are getting exposed on the national level. This isn't 1930s Brooklyn where you could do these things and nobody would be the wiser outside of Brooklyn. But here, she's pulling these things off, and all of a sudden, people from Jacksonville, Florida are showing up at the council meetings, which is crazy. All right. So in the modern day of social media, she can't keep all of her conspiracies and corruption contained within the city. So that has been also a big part of her problem. She's just stupid. She's a street rat. And if she was an elected politician, she'd be stealing cars. By the way, she does have a record. She was arrested on a felony breaking into cars to steal stuff. This is the person they elected as mayor of the town, a street rat with a criminal record for theft, and they elected her. It's crazy. By the way, I don't believe that she's a DEI hire. People say DEI, DEI. Everybody that has been elected mayor for the last 30, 40 years in Dolton has been black. Yeah, she was the first female, and that was kind of interesting, but she wasn't elected because she was a female, although some of the citizens have said they liked her because she was a female. That wasn't it. They elected her because she did all of the bluster that's expected of a politician. I'm going to shine the light on corruption. No, I am for the people. The people need the power. If you elect me, we'll bring the power to the people. We'll take back the streets. She yells it loud and clear. Most normal, rational people would look at that and say, oh man, you got to be kidding me. Give me a break. Just yelling that doesn't mean anything. However, it works in these communities like Dolton. They're just so influenced by whoever yells and exclaims the loudest. That must be the person who's got the reels, the truth, right? How many times do you go on YouTube and you see people with, titles for reels, the truth? The View has this kind of thing, this is the truth. Those people never have the truth. They're almost always propaganda artists. Normal, rational people who are to uncover the real truth and to get the truth to you don't talk like that. But in places like Dolton, that is very influential. And it's called victimhood. This is what happens when a town is composed of people who think they're victims. This is the reason why people like Rashad Ritchie and Ben Crump are so dangerous. It's because they make people feel like they've been victimized by the system. And here comes along a person who's going to tell you that he's going to attack the system and he's going to shine the light on the cockroaches. When he gets elected, he's going to shine that light. And you'll see the cockroaches running. And of course, the cockroaches are what? Typically old white males. That's the people they hate. And in their mind, the old white males are the ones that are to blame for everything that's happened to them. And this person is going to attack them. And so the louder you can say that message, the better. They don't understand is that it's not just old white males that are to blame for their problems. Flint, Michigan. Remember the poisoning of the water? That wasn't a white dude. That was a state-appointed administrator who made that decision. He's black. Don't blame white people for it. Blaming other people, and this is true for everybody, blaming other races, blaming other whatever for your problems will never work well for you. But unfortunately, that victimhood thing is really big in places like Dolton. And I've seen it when I worked in California. It was the same among the Hispanic populations there. And as soon as they elected the new mayor, the corruption started all over again. Because the new mayor feels that he or she is a victim too. And, you know, all this time they've been stealing and they've been robbing and making these underhanded deals, and they never let me in on it. But now I'm the mayor. It's my turn. And I deserve this. I deserve this because I've been victimized for so long. And so they start to do the corruption thing all over again. So the person who shows up at the town meetings with the t-shirts that have the big slogans on them, has got a megaphone, the community leaders, never elect them. They're terrible. They will do this stuff all themselves when they get the chance. Tiffany Henyard was one of those. This is what you get. Let's see here. We got a whole lot of, sorry for the grandstanding or the soapbox, but, you know, you tuned in. You tune into Johnny Walker Dread, you get Johnny Walker Dread. Yeah, exactly. I agree with that. Yeah. Ultimately, courage comes from having people around you that are willing to support you. And once Tiffany lost that, now people are they're starting to get very brave and coming forward, and it's only going to now increase. Okay, not sure what that refers to, but that's fine. Yeah, that's the other thing. Well, I mean, it's the same with how many of you go on to Twitter and you see these comments like Kyle Rittenhouse, he murdered 3 people by traveling across state lines with a gun. The people who are posting that have only read headlines. And it's the same thing here. They only hear what they see on TV, and on TV, they see the person with the megaphone yelling and hollering, and that's all they get. They don't get to hear the investigative reports, the background. I would bet you that 90% of the town of Dolton didn't even know that Tiffany Henyard had a criminal record. Maybe they might have investigated it. There might have been a report on it, but these people didn't get to see that. Attention span is way too short. Absolutely correct on all you have said. Well, thank you. I appreciate that comment. Keep in mind, I have worked with a lot of city governments, and I have dealt with corruption. In my opinion, all of this corruption seems to stem from these factors because I've talked to the people who have done the corruption. Okay. It got so bad that at one meeting, they basically broke the law in the hiring of a superintendent. And they had the entire meeting in English. None of these people speak English as a first language. They all speak Spanish. But they're having it in English even though I'm there. And I think they were trying to impress me. Okay. It turns out later, the superintendent, the sheriff's department showed up at his house around at midnight and took him into custody about 2 or 3 years later. Yeah. Can you imagine your kid going to a school where they arrested the superintendent out of his home? And I think he got like 2 years of jail. I've seen it. And I knew this guy very well. Went to dinners with him to talk stuff. And I see him on the television getting pulled out in a t-shirt. They woke him up, because they always do. They woke him up to haul him into jail. Lacks any moral compass. It's even worse than that. A moral compass is totally alien to her because she has no interest in it. A moral compass in her mind wouldn't do her any good. She wants to be a dictator. She wants to be a tyrant. She wants people to fear her. And a moral compass, yeah, that's not even in her language, or that's not in her vocabulary. Okay, let's see here. What are we doing on time? Um, Hang on. Okay, we got a 2 more. So let's just play a little bit more of Hannibal here. This, by the way, I would subscribe to this guy's channel. He's very good. He examines things very calmly, very fairly. I don't think I've ever seen him wrong on anything.
Let's not forget about Chief Louis Lacey. I've made a lot of videos. It's actually surprising the amount of videos I've made about Lacey in particular.
By the way, I hate this son of a bitch more than I hate Henyard. I can't stand him. I mean, she's a mayor. Corruption kind of goes with the game sometimes. It shouldn't, but it does. This is a police chief. He should not be doing this stuff.
He has a very extremely sketchy past, and he was appointed as the top cop under Henyard's watch. That decision alone says a lot about the Henyard's judgment. And right now, he is out of the game. Let me actually show you this article real quick. Dolton's former police chief is no longer certified as an officer in Dolton. Have you guys?
Okay, so I read that one to you already. Here we have a comment. Now there has been another officer involved killing in Dolton. Oh no. May have been justified. Okay. Okay, so Henyard has decided to stay quiet on that. Okay, so here's what happened with this police chief. It happened I'm thinking about 3 or 4 years ago. Maybe further back. Maybe 5. But they had a police chase in the village of Dolton, which was completely unwarranted. And in so doing, the driver of the vehicle was killed, and another one in the passenger was critically injured. They sued the city or the village of Dolton and won $33 million. Yeah. The village of Dolton has lost a lawsuit for $33 million. You think that the village of Dolton's is in financial trouble? Oh, it's in really big financial trouble, right? The person, the law firm that represented the injured person is the same one, the same firm that is representing, what's his name? John Huber. Gosh. In his lawsuit against Kyle Rittenhouse. So there's a connection between Tiffany and Kyle. Kind of loose, but yeah. So that's kind of interesting. And by the way, I have a Local Lawyers episode on their particular lawsuit, which I read out loud. Is absolutely a joke. Okay. But apparently, Louis Lacey was involved in that police chase. Yeah. Of course, it could only be that way, right? So he was involved in a police chase that ended up getting the village of Dolton in serious financial trouble. And then once Tiffany Henyard becomes mayor, she makes him deputy police chief. And why does she make him the deputy police chief? Because he's willing to be an enforcer for her. It turns out, guess what? Apparently, she falsified records, his scores, to make him eligible to become the deputy police chief. Like I say, this is a never-ending story. The corruption just continues. Let's see what we've got here. Um, yeah, Lacey is going to have a very hard time during any period of incarceration. Good. Good. Screw him. I can't stand him. Oh, we've only scratched the surface. We've only scratched the surface of the corruption in Dolton. I think we've only covered maybe 5% of it. It got really strange. How about Tiffany Henyard fining the Parks Department in the village of Dolton for putting mulch down on the playgrounds? The mulch is supposed to be there. It's to keep kids from getting hurt as they slide down, right? You put mulch down. They replace it every year. They went and placed the new mulch down, and she fined them $2,000 for doing so. Why? She was mad at them because they allowed the board of trustees to use their little speaking room, like a public room. Yeah, she got mad at them. She locked the trustees out of the city hall. They had nowhere to go. So they go to the parks department. They say, "You got a room we can meet?" They said, "Yeah, sure. Come on in." And she got so mad at them for allowing those board of trustees to meet in that room that she started fining the parks department for putting down fresh mulch on the grounds. Hey, do you think that Dolton has a corruption problem? Keep in mind, again, that's just a small part of all of the things that she does. I mean, like fining people for speeding, or I'm sorry, for parking in places that parking's supposed to be allowed. She put up fake parking, no parking signs, so that she could then have them ticketed. And why does she want them ticketed? It's because she's stealing money. She needs money to keep the thing going. So she started writing phony parking tickets. Oh, it's just crazy. Okay, let's see here. What else we got? Hey, come on, give me a thumbs up, guys. And the mayor don't care because her daughter does not play in the park. Oh, by the way, her daughter is probably skating at Just Ice skating rink. The skating rink that Tiffany Henyard basically paid for without getting board approval. She just has it built. By the way, her daughter's name is Justice. She named the skating park after her daughter. You show me anywhere where that is allowed. But she did. I mean, naming rights are things that you sell, right? Mm-hmm. Well, Boss Hog, she's trying to be Boss Hog. And, you know, she really is trying to be Boss Hog. But you're right. I mean, Boss Hog was a downright, saint in comparison to her. He could learn a few things. Okay, I'll tell you what, guys, I'm going to step out and see if I can find this live feed, okay? And if I can't, I'm going to call it a night because I do have some stuff to do. So I'm going to give me a couple minutes here. Oh, and go subscribe to my channel, the Johnny Walker Dread Show on YouTube. I'm trying to get I'm almost at 1,500.
WGN investigates going to court to access records that Dolton Mayor Tiffany Henyard's administration didn't want you to see. Investigative reporter Ben Bradley breaks down lavish hotel stays, airline upgrades, and more questionable expenses, all new tonight.
Charges filed in a tragic story out of Northwest Indiana last summer. 9 police canines died in sweltering conditions while being transported in the back of a truck. Over a year later now, officials are looking to hold 2 men accountable.
Massive transit concerns.
Okay, that's not it.
Let
me try some more.
Spotlight. City's just days away from becoming the only major city without a central hub for bus transit. The Johnson administration is sharing a new statement with WGN about calls for them to get involved.
It's the next phase for Bally's and the end of an era for the Chicago Tribune. Demolition begins in River West on the future casino. WGN's Patrick Elwood takes you there and explains what's ahead for the project.
I feel good. I feel great. I feel excited. I want to meet her very bad.
Okay, does their news just come on at 9 o'clock? They said 9 o'clock.
Girls open a lemonade stand, planning to earn their way to a Chicago Sky game and a chance to see Angel Reese. See how their hard work has been rewarded with a huge surprise. The WGN News at 9 starts right now.
Okay, y'all.
Sounds like I'm not the only one having problems, wondering what the hell happened here. All right, give me more time here.
I'm Micah Mater.
And I'm Ray Cortopassi. Our top story at 9, the weather. The stifling heat will start to ease.
Is that the big news? All newscasters do this with the damn weather being the top damn news, even though I have been getting a lot of alerts from on Chicago. Is it that hot out there, y'all? Sheesh. Y'all about to have a tornado or something? Ooh, that's a nice view. Is that Chicago? That's a nice view, y'all. Nice. I ain't going, but nice. That looks nice. Y'all got storms going on out there? Oh, Lord. Now we got to watch this. Come on. Now it's raining wigs. I don't think it's that hot over here on the right coast. I'm just saying. Yeah, it's always the weather is the top story. It's too much. Yes, that looked nice. That was very nice. Very nice. I gotta come to Chicago in the off time. Let me know when crime is down for real. Then I'll come to I'll come to Chicago. Y'all let me know when crime is down. For real. Not when Joe says it, but for real. All right. Come on, buddy. Come on, baby. Let's see.
So
Illinois, Indiana, Illinois. All right. You might get some rain, y'all.
She's
it's hot and you might get some rain. Come on now. You said 9 o'clock. They better not be making us wait till what time is it here? 10:30. Oh, that's a nice view. Woodstock, Illinois. Shout out to Woodstock, Illinois. I don't know where that's at. Maybe y'all know. Fishy Mario brother says top story is never first. The weather's always the top story for some reason, even in Philly, all the damn time.
True. Here's the radar as we first off.
Oh Lord, and he taking forever. Phoenix Boy says crime is down when it's negative or when it's 20 degrees outside. That is true. I'm sure it is freezing in Chicago. Not now. Oh, look, Thornton Township. Look at Thornton Township down there. Look at that. Oh, Lord, I can't take it.
Okay, guys, I have no idea what WGN did to us, but she's trying to watch it too, and she's complaining that it's 9 o'clock. Although I don't know why she's saying it's 9. It's actually 10. But where is the freaking live stream? Keep in mind, this can't be an Eastern time zone thing, because then it would have started at 8, and there would be YouTube videos on it by now. I went there, did a YouTube search. There's nothing. And I don't know. I have no idea what's going on. So, let's see. Okay, wait a minute. What do we got here? Okay, so we're just being impatient. Okay. All right, we'll give it a few more minutes. But if it doesn't come up, I think we're just going to have to call it a night. You know, this is the first time I've ever done a live stream like this on an actual other live stream. So I didn't do anything like this for Kyle Rittenhouse trial or anything like that. Let's see here. By the way, so one of the things that came out, oh yeah, the ice rink is just shameful. The other thing is that the ice rink was always closed, it seemed, unless her daughter wanted to skate. That was another issue that was raised. I don't know if that's true or not, but people were saying that. Like, we want to go skate, but it's always closed. Yeah. Let's go ahead and let's see what's going on here.
I'm nervous enough, and here they are wasting time and shit. Are you done, sir? This lady in this wig, child. Woo, Lord.
Of course, very heavy rain. We'll talk.
By the way, Messy Michelle, or whatever her name is, she does a lot of stuff on Dolton. I really don't care for her style, but I knew she was doing the live stream, so I figured I'll go to her channel, and when she's streaming, I'll know it's active. But unless you guys want to listen to the weather. Okay, what else have we got here? Okay, oh, wait. All right, hang on. Wait, why is it? Okay, why is it doing that? Okay, I'm not certain why. There it goes. Okay, got it. I was trying to get rid of it and couldn't figure it out. Let's see, what time is it now? Yeah, we'll give it about another 10 minutes or so. So what other crazy things has she done? She changes the locks on City Hall. She's done it 3 times. People try to go to work and they're locked out. They can't get into their office. You wonder, well, why does she do that? I think it's just designed to show that she can. I think it's a power move. That's the only thing I can think of. But apparently, for example, the finance director, she changed the locks on her. And it turns out that the finance director's files were found in the commons room, where everybody goes and gets their, microwaves, their food and stuff. There's huge piles of documents laying out there. Some of them ended up missing. A lot of them have personal information on them, social security numbers and stuff. I don't think they've ever been found. Okay, wait to see. Maybe here it is. Here we go. Oops.
We only had records from one of the 2 governments she runs. Now
I'm
we
going
can
to try
show
to find
you
a better
the real
feed, but I'll
toll
leave this
her
one up for the
travel
time
is
being.
taking on taxpayers. The self-proclaimed super mayor is a prolific poster on social media, but what she rarely publicizes are her travels, trips frequently paid for by taxpayers.
If you want to have a good time, spend your own dime.
Despite being a trustee, this is the first time Tammy Brown has been able to see the village's credit card statements, records we had to get through a judge's order.
When you see things like this, it's like a punch in the gut.
Last January, we told you Tiffany Henyard and her entourage racked up more than $67,000 in travel-related charges in just 5 months. But that's just what was charged to Thornton Township credit cards, where she's the supervisor. When you add in what was billed to Dolton, trips for Mayor Henyard and her entourage cost taxpayers more than $100,000. We questioned Henyard about travel last fall.
I do not handle anything as relates to your credit cards. As you heard me speak today in my board meeting about, I do not handle that.
Some of those charges are for you, though.
Classic.
No, sir.
Classic.
You didn't go to Las Vegas?
What is that?
No comment.
You don't know if you were in Las Vegas?
Of course I do.
Were you?
It's not paid by them.
Did you fly first class to Las Vegas?
Any other questions?
When Henyard hits the road, she and other village and township officials do so in style. Records show they often fly first class, pay for upgrades. They've stayed at luxury hotels, including the Four Seasons, and dine at steakhouses.
Oh my God. When you just see these things.
Hey! Hey!
Let's look at one trip to Austin, Texas in July of last year. 5 people, including Mayor Henyard, for 5 days. While we previously reported the township was billed $27,000, we now know the actual cost was more than $47,000 when you factor in what Dolton taxpayers were charged. It includes nearly $1,000 spent at an Austin Walgreens and a sports riding apparel store. The only explanation for any of the travel was that it was to attend a conference.
I'm sure you guys had an awesome time on the backs of taxpayers, but what do we gain from any of these trips? We gain nothing.
Trustees say they've been demanding explanations for months.
You the ones that's costing the village money. And I don't have that call. All right. Okay.
But Henyard and her team refused to share the credit card records.
We were never allowed to get those statements. So this is the reason why you hid it from us, because definitely we will have questions.
Mayor Henyard is in a situation where she feels like she's under attack, because she is.
Bo Brinley is Henyard's criminal defense attorney, hired after the FBI served subpoenas on the village and township earlier this year. He blames Henyard's top aide, Keith Freeman.
Keith Freeman made the decision on how these funds are being used. Keith Freeman is going on these trips. You understand, this is a new mayor. This is someone that is new to this job.
But she never thought, hey, I shouldn't fly first class. I shouldn't stay at the Four Seasons.
If there was a problem with any of that, if that's not how you're supposed to do it, she relied on Freeman to tell her. He's telling her this is how we do things.
How things were done in Dolton is costing taxpayers dearly. Records we obtained show the village leased 3 luxury SUVs for Henyard's use at a cost to residents of more than $374,000.
The mayor didn't spend any of this money. The Keith Freeman made decisions and reported to the mayor, this is what we're doing. The mayor trusted him until she didn't.
This is me talking to people that understand business, that understand finance.
Back to those Dolton credit cards. They include nearly $25,000 charged in 5 months without explanation to places like Walmart, Target, and Jewel. There was $5,000 spent at local restaurants and Uber Eats. And Tiffany Henyard's personal photographer charged the village $3,400.
What I think is interesting about this case, this story, is you can be highly legal and unethical at the same time.
Kelly Richmond Pope is an accounting professor who has investigated municipal spending. She says the brazenness is what caught her eye.
Who does this? Who lives this way so out loud? It's almost like, I dare you to ask. I dare you to ask me.
Yep.
And I'm just shocked that a leader would think that they could get away with this type of behavior.
Yep.
And that no one's going to ask them about it.
We out here and take some Thornton.
Yeah, the audacity and brazenness is really a mark of hers. I cannot find the live feed from WGN. I went to their webpage. It's not there. I've looked on Facebook. I can't find it. So we're going to be stuck with this for a little while.
Is millions in the hole.
We sort of knew we were in a bind, but not to this extent. This is devastating.
Federal prosecutors charged Keith Freeman with bankruptcy fraud. He's now cooperating with trustees investigating Henyard's spending, but he denies he's working with the feds. Freeman declined to comment. The FBI's investigation into Henyard marches on. Ben Bradley, WGN Investigates.
Chicago police have released video of a person of interest wanted in connection with the deadly shooting of a mail carrier.
I thought we was about to talk about Carmen. What happened? What happened? Wait. We supposed to hear about Carmen. Okay, they got more records to show and prove stuff that we already knew. What about Carmen?
Yeah, okay, guys, I don't know what's going on. I am mystified. But If I got the time wrong, she got it wrong too. Somewhere on the line, there's been a bad deal here. Maybe they canceled it. It could be that Carmen says, "Yeah, I don't want to do this after all," and so they went back to, Plan B. Let's go ahead and take a look and see some of your comments, but I think I'm going to shut this thing down. I'm so disappointed. Let's see here. Stan Brown? Well, keep in mind, he's with the Village of Dolton, I believe. And from what I can gather, he seems to kind of waffle back and forth. He's an early Tiffany supporter, big Tiffany supporter. And if you remember the burger joint deal with Tiff, he was the one that was sitting down eating that hamburger, and it's just coming apart on him. Maybe we should watch that. That's one of the funniest things you can imagine. But at any rate, Stan Brown is a longtime fan of Tiffany, but he's been voting against her quite a bit lately. And I think he's starting to feel the pressure. Yeah, victim mindset. She genuinely thinks everyone else is a thief like her, and this was just her time to steal. This is called projection, when you cannot fathom I guess they're still talking there about this whole deal. Tuesday, 9 p.m. Liars. Total liars. I wonder what she is. Oh, I know what.
Act like I'm crazy. I mean, I know I'm crazy, but I know damn well you said that, what is her name? Carmen
Carlisle. Yeah. Tuesday, 9 p.m. Everybody, it says it right there. And I remember them saying tomorrow night yesterday. So this is not like...
Yeah, no, not right now, child. Not right now. All right.
So, okay, where were we? Yeah, this is projection. When you can't understand how somebody else reacts because you think they must be like you. And is this it? Let's check it out.
Now trustee Carmen Carlisle says after trusting Henyard and remaining silent,
maybe so,
she will be a whistleblower against Henyard. Carlisle released a statement to WGN that reads in part, for the past 2 years, Henyard has manipulated employees.
That's not it. We've already saw that. Oops, what's happening there? So projection, I don't know if you guys ever remember an episode of Columbo where Columbo had outwitted this thief by getting her daughter to go along in informing on her mother. Okay, I messed that one up. The mother committed a crime, killed her husband. Her daughter is convinced that her mother is a murderer, but they can't get her to confess to it. So, okay, wait a minute, hang on.
We tried, y'all. All right, we know.
Okay, she's given up. And I got this story about Columbo so tangled, but if you remember the episode where they arrest this lady at the airport, and the girl was supposed to fly to Switzerland with the money, but instead she gave it to Columbo, and he opens it up, and all this money. And he said, you really thought that your daughter would take the money because you're greedy. You couldn't imagine your daughter not being greedy. And that is what's happening with Tiffany. She is corrupt, she's greedy, and she can't fathom not being like that. That's called projection. And everybody uses the term projection wrong. It's not accusing somebody of something that you are yourself. Okay? That's not projection. Projection is the inability to understand another person's mindset because you can't understand how they're not like you. Okay. And we all do it. I mean, it's called being reasonable. Okay, here we go. Yeah. Okay. This is really common. Really poor town. They were paying themselves upwards of $300,000. Typically, a mayor of a small town is going to make very little. The trustees will get living expenses paid. I mean, they'll get maybe $500 a month. Okay. You don't become a trustee for the money unless you can find a way to get paid $300,000 for it. And they do. That's crazy. Oh, yeah. Call me. That's another thing she does. She says, you could have called me. If we had called you, you would have not picked up the phone, and you know it. I mean, there's no, and if you call her, she said, well, why didn't you come by and see me personally? No matter what you do, you will not have done it the way she wants it. And therefore, yeah. Yeah, everybody has said that she looks like Lil Wayne. In fact, my latest shorts had a kind of took a play on that joke. I'm not that familiar with Lil Wayne, but I guess he does look like her. How does he get to deal with finance when he is the food pantry person? He's the director of the food pantry for the Thornton Township. But my gut feeling is that is probably just a made up title. He is probably hired to be her, like front man, and that was probably some position they made up for him. A director of a food pantry is going to be really low on the old pecking order, but clearly he's not low on the pecking order. He's a very powerful person in the township. Let's see here. Is we getting anything going here?
So I don't know. I just happened to catch it, and they said Early Walker was out at that lemonade stand. But, child, yes, even that's what they saying. Oh, Lord, crime is down, y'all. Crime is down. We're going to have to do another Crime is Down.
Guys, I think we're going to call it a day. WGN did some clickbait on me, as that person is saying there. I have no idea what happened to their live show, but it looks like it's not happening. You would think that they would put up a little note that says, hey, we're not doing it tonight. Our informant turned chicken, or whatever the reason is, but it didn't happen. At any rate, I'm going to give it up. I will see you guys. Go to my channel, subscribe to me. The Johnny Walker Dread Show on YouTube. I do tons and tons of Kyle Rittenhouse. Rashad Ritchie is my favorite target of scorn and ridicule. I do a lot of the myth of police brutality stuff. So if you're tired of hearing about the police officers being blamed for some of these deaths because they're racist or whatever, you really need to subscribe to my channel. I do a lot of those videos. I do Daryl Brooks. I got a lot of Daryl Brooks stuff out. Tiffany Henyard, of course. I got I don't know how many videos on her. So go to my YouTube channel, subscribe, like this video, and I will see you next time. Take care, everybody. And thanks for showing up and putting up with my crap for the last hour and a half.